Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Hump Day edition of Today in Sports Betting. Scott, this is a good day, buddy. It's the beginning of college basketball season. I love it, man. How about yourself?
You know, you really can't complain about some days in sports. And for me, the start of college basketball season is always going to be one of those days. I know it's a little bit weird because we have a defending champion from 2 years ago. But we're going to see what happens here. Somebody's going to be trying to win the championship, and hopefully there will be a tournament at some point. But looking forward to it. A lot of games on the card. One of the games already started, actually.
Yeah.
And one game had about a 7-point line move. So that's so you know everybody's just dying to bet on East Tennessee State and Abilene Christian. Welcome back to college basketball.
You take what you get, buddy. If it's on TV, you know that they're going to bet on it.
I don't know if it's even on TV. That's the problem. I don't know if it's on TV or not.
ESPN didn't show in the first game there?
They could be. I wasn't aware that East Tennessee State, was in the prime slot for 11 a.m. college basketball. I wasn't aware that was a thing. No, I don't really know.
It's time to give everybody a little glimpse behind the curtain. You and I do not get up hours early and prep for the show.
At least I don't prep for the cable package for most people when it comes to watching these games on television.
Well, I'm just saying, everybody's like, well, why don't they know it's on TV? Like, well, because we've been up for like 10 minutes. That's why.
I've been awake for a while, actually.
Have you really? Look at you.
I know. I was actually a productive member of society today.
You usually roll out of bed and turn the camera on, aren't you?
I don't want you to reveal all of my secrets, but overall, there's so many games on, there's so many lines going through. I was actually looking at the future markets for a while. I was looking at a bunch of potential plays, line discrepancies for futures. Maybe I'll do a video on that for Scott Selections where I'll talk about some of my bets on who's going to lift the trophy.
Anybody you like?
You want me to spoil? I just said I'm going to do a video on it. Sure. Way to put me on the spot. No, I actually made one bet so far. I like two, but I'm trying to find the best line available.
All right.
But we'll see what happens. I
don't want to spoil your video. If people want to listen to you prattle along for half an hour before you get to your 3 picks, that's fine.
It's fine, unless you want to do it with me tomorrow.
No, that's my video.
Okay.
God, does this guy ever give his pick? Just shut up.
I kind of meant tomorrow when we do this show, we could do a future show. But
oh, God, no. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, but I don't know if you heard or not.
I did hear about that. I read that somewhere.
We could take a look at it. It's something we probably should. I don't care.
I've already been looking through it, so
okay.
It really doesn't matter to me. I'm going to do it anyway. But
I've made a couple bets, but
the futures have been pretty kind to me this year, so hopefully that'll carry over.
You're the one guy in America that the future has been kind for. The rest of us, the future has sucked.
Well, I didn't mean the future of society. I meant the future of sports.
Okay.
A little bit of a qualification. But quick shout out to the Miami Heat.
I faded the shit out of society, just so you know.
Worked out for you.
All right, here we go, bud. We're going to take a look. This is kind of going to be our theme, I think, that we're going to do. We're going to take a look at a couple of the main, quote-unquote, games of the day.
The games that we know will be on television.
Yes, the games that we know will be on television, and then throw in one of our favorite picks each. So let's start off, Scotty, with those Villanova Wildcats and the Boston College Eagles right now. And I did this yesterday. I'm going to have to trust you on this. I had Villanova at 13.5. Has there been line movement on that?
I see pretty much flat 14 market wide. Okay.
All right. So there is a little Wildcat money coming in.
Decent move coming in on the over. It's going from about 140.5 or so all the way up to 143. So you have seen roughly 3 points of over money coming in.
Okay. Basically for me, I'm not impressed with this Boston College team. They were bad last year. They lost a ton of talent this year. And I think this is I think this is a pretty good spot for the favorite to take care of business. And I'm just going to cut right to it. What do you think? What do you got?
I'm surprised you're not impressed with the Boston College team that lost each of their last 6 games to finish the regular season last year. Villanova, of course, ends up losing Sadiq Bey, who was one of their best players last year. He ended up getting drafted to the NBA. However, they still have Gillespie. And I'm a huge Gillespie guy. Truth is, he's actually my pick to win the Wooden Award this year. Spoiler alert. I actually think he's going to win. And
there goes that video.
I wasn't going to do a video on that one either, but he's 30-1. I'm a huge Gillespie guy. I think he's a great player. I think he's a very good leader for that team. Jay Wright, you know that he's very good at bringing people in, getting people to develop, et cetera, very quickly. It's also in a neutral, so even though Boston College is the team listed below, they're not playing at home. That is something to keep in mind. Simply put, Villanova's a much better team. They're better coach. They have more talent. And this team is one of the favorites to win the championship for a reason. I think they'll just come out, punch Boston College in the mouth, probably win by 20.
Yeah, this is a Boston College team went 13-19 last year. Scott, they lost 3 starters and they lost 3 main contributors transferred out. They're gonna have to reload, and it's a team that just don't have that many bullets in the chamber. That's a pretty strong number for 2 Power 5 schools going at it, but I think it's justified in this case. I think Villanova. I don't know if I'd touch the first half. They could a lot of these teams could be a little choppy because they haven't had.
Then they'll come out in the second half, go on a 12-0 run in the first 4 minutes, and then
that's exactly what I'm looking at. Maybe a 4 to 6 point halftime lead, and then just opening it up in the second half. So
one thing that I kind of alluded to quickly, but just to keep in mind for college basketball, especially this season, keep track of which games are neutrals and which games are actual home court, because you're going to be looking at betting lines. And if you assume that the bottom team is going to be the home team, you're going to be wrong more times than you think, because there are a lot of tournaments going on in the start of the season in neutral side. So keep that in mind. Plus, also keep in mind, if you're betting on home teams, which stadiums will have fans in attendance.
It's going to be huge. That's going to be huge.
I mean, I personally believe that college basketball has the biggest home court advantage. You maybe make the argument college football, but I personally think college basketball. So if you're looking at some teams, for example, Duke, Cameron Indoors, Cameron Crazies, if they're not going to be there, then, does it really make as big of a difference as people make it out to be?
No, obviously not. I mean, and just to give you an example, in the NFL, the advantage for the home team has gone from about 3 points down to somewhere in the neighborhood, depending on whose power rankings you use, between 0.3 and 0.7.
Mm-hmm.
So it's made a significant impact, and I would argue that the home field in the NFL is not nearly as important as home field in Boston in college basketball.
Yeah, I agree. So that's something to keep in mind. There's a lot of stuff going on that you have to remember. I know everyone is going to keep talking about how it's a very unique season with coronavirus, et cetera. At the end of the day, though, that could mean a lot from gambling. If you see lines and you automatically think, Duke or Kentucky's laying a huge number and they're playing at home. Yeah, but if there's no fans in attendance, that home field doesn't simply mean as much as you think it does.
Yeah, there could be if you can master that, there could be a lot of opportunities for value, as a lot of the home teams are probably going to be overvalued and overbet until people figure out what that number should be.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think a little bit more research on your end for a minute or two to search up articles on which, if there's going to be fans in attendance, limited attendance, et cetera. But keep that in mind.
Especially if you're going to make any kind of a significant play with your bankroll, if you're going to make any kind of a 1% play or bigger with your roll, it definitely behooves you to check out and see where they're playing.
Cover all the bases, account for all the variables. That's the tip I'll give you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, right. we both like Villanova. I'm going to lean to the over. I'll back the over move. I find that money pretty fascinating. Okay. What I found out normally is that in the start of college basketball season, most line movements tend to be, I don't want to say always correct, but they seem to be pretty sharp, at least in the start of the season, because some people, some sharps, et cetera, just can recognize quickly where the discrepancies are and where the projections are supposed to be. So if you see a ton of line movement coming in on a game early in the season, that's because they feel as though the books have not correctly adjusted to a specific team, et cetera.
Yeah, especially about this time. Because most of your late movement is going to be public money.
I'm talking like first 2 weeks. You're going to see as soon as opening lines, et cetera, come out, it's going to be slammed the whole day.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about the line movement somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 7 hours before the game.
Yeah,
that's if you want to see where the sharp line movement is, that's generally where it's going to be the last steam moves of the day with sharp money.
Yeah. I'm just throwing it out there that you're going to see some crazy line moves in here where it could even reach double-digit in points. First game of the season, you had a 7-point swing or so with Abilene Christian. So you're going to see some crazy lines. That's not going to be the case the entire season. It's going to be the case for roughly the first week or two. So the lines are going to be very volatile. So if you want to jump in at a line, make sure you have a good reason, because this line can either fly in your favor or against you, and you don't want to be laying 7 when the line drops to 1. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, absolutely right. Yeah, you could definitely be stuck with a bad number. Okay, so let's take a look, and I guess the other big game on the board that we've identified is UCLA.
Well, I actually wanted to ask you, sorry, before we transition, for Villanova, I mentioned Gillespie to win the Player of the Year 30-1.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think on that? Why is he 30-1?
You know what? I don't really know, Scott, and I got to be honest.
I think he's a very good player.
I think 30-1 seems a little strong. Where on the board is he? Like 8th, 10th, somewhere around there?
Give or take. He's actually a little bit lower, I believe. He's somewhere in the, I'd say, somewhere in the 12 to 14 range, give or take. I don't know. I found him to be the leader of the team. I know that Sadiq Bey was the guy I got most of the recognition because he ended up going in the draft in the first round. But tremendous leader. Villanova, is going to be in the hunt, probably in the top 10 for the entire year. So they're going to be getting a lot of meaningful games. He's going to have a lot of chances to impress. And if you watched him play, you know how much he means to that program. Now, I know that you can say the same about all these other people going, well, this guy means a lot to his program, etc. People forget that Josh Hart simply just rolled over everybody to win the award with Villanova, and he might not have been the most talented player in the entire country. I think that's a very similar situation to what Gillespie can have, where he's not going to be the most talented guy on the court, but he's the guy who's going to keep putting up numbers, team's going to keep winning, and if they finish within the top 5, I think he's got a real good shot to win, especially 30-1.
Okay, that's solid.
You agree with that?
Oh yeah, I do. I like he's a high profile player on a high profile team, and he's going to get a lot of exposure, which makes a hell of a difference. And who's the favorite?
The favorite right now is Luke Garza. This is all according to DraftKings. Luke Garza is the favorite at 4-1, which makes sense. He was the runner-up last year. He's pretty much going to be a walking double-double in the Big Ten at Iowa. The only issue is that if Iowa underachieves, who really cares about Iowa? No offense, but are people really going to go out of their way to watch Iowa play basketball in the Big Ten?
Well, if you're not going out of your way to watch Luka Garza play, then you should. But yeah, your point taken. I get. He's
a great player. I'm just saying that most people, I don't pay much attention. I can make the argument. What about Obi Toppin, who won last year at Dayton? Yeah, Dayton also had one loss the entire year and was about to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Iowa's usually around a 4.
Yeah, that's give or take. That's
I don't know if that's good enough to actually win. I'm just throwing it out there. Now you have a couple other guys, some potential up and comers, but as a whole, I think Corey Kispert maybe at 10-1 because I think that Gonzaga team's nuts. Kate Cunningham at Oklahoma State, if he just goes one-man wrecking crew with that team. But I don't know, Gillespie's got some experience. He's the leader of the team, and that team should be, in my opinion, not really a shocking opinion because all sportsbooks agree, Villanova being one of the top 3 teams in the country.
Yeah, I don't argue with that at all.
Yeah.
All right, so the other game we're taking a look at here, Scott, is UCLA and San Diego State. UCLA 3-point favorites. I'm on the Aztecs here. I like the points. I like this team. They're a very good team last year. 30-2 is where they ended up finishing up there in the Mountain West. They do have to replace some pieces, but it looks like they've got some good replacements coming in, including a point guard from Cal State Northridge that is should be a baller. So I know UCLA, and I would be surprised if this line movement didn't favor UCLA here late. So I like playing the dog here.
Well, we're in agreement on this one. For me personally, San Diego State has always been a very underrated team year in, year out, which is kind of hilarious because they always seem to win 27 games every single season, and nobody ever talks about them. Looking at the roster, they bring back Matt Mitchell, who's going to be pretty much the face of this team as he's very, very good. Malachi Flynn, of course, being the guy who they're going to have to replace. And not only was he leading the team in scoring, but he also won Conference Defensive Player of the Year. So they are going to have to make some adjustments there. But Matt Mitchell's a pretty good defender, and they definitely buy in defensively as a team because San Diego State last season allowed 59.8 points per game, which was the 3rd fewest in the entire nation. So this team's defensively is always going to be great. UCLA, I know Mick Cronin is a very good coach. Could we just acknowledge that this team wasn't that good last year?
Yeah, I think it's time. That's
They had some flashes where they were good for maybe 4 games at a time. I know, for example, they ended up upsetting a couple people in conference play, but overall, this UCLA team definitely was okay, but it was clearly a transition year under Mick Cronin, and I don't think that they are fully ready to handle San Diego State on the road in their first game of the season. I just don't see it. I personally think the wrong team's favored. I know UCLA, of course, is the more high-profile program, even though recency bias would suggest that San Diego State's a much better program in California. But looking at everybody, Tiger Campbell's going to be one of the main guys for UCLA, but I really think that this team is fine. I think UCLA is going to have some growing pains, and I think that San Diego State is still really, really good. So for me, I'm going to lean to San Diego State, but my main play on that matchup is actually going to be the under. I love the under at 132.5 at minus 110 on Fox Bet. I don't really know what more you can ask for. You have a team that ended up finishing in the top 3 in points allowed last year, and they're against Mick Cronin.
Yeah.
I don't know what more you ask for the sake of an under.
Yeah, it does. It does work out pretty well.
So I think both teams should end up getting into the low 60s. I think this game's not going to be a rock fight, but it's going to be let's say it's not going to be the Warriors offensively. Let's just put it that way. So I can see a lot of really ugly possessions, a lot of forced half-court possessions, good defense, etc. So for me, I'm going to go with the under.
Yeah, that's the thing. San Diego State is a trudging team where their pace is slow, and they just absolutely lock it down on the half court.
So is UCLA. Now Cronin occasionally would go up speed, up tempo, but I think San Diego State's going to do whatever they can to just slow the pace to a crawl. So
yeah, you're not going to do it against San Diego State very long. So.
Yep.
All right, very good. Go ahead and I'll let you kick it off, Scott. Youth before beauty. What do you got? What do you got for your wild card pick here?
Well, speaking of teams that are going to be slowing down the pace of play, I'm going to be looking at a matchup between Towson and Virginia, and I think you know where I'm going with this one with Tony Bennett. I'm taking the under. It's at 121.5 and minus 112 on DraftKings. I actually did these lines last night. It was at 122, so there has been some line movement towards the under. But looking at this matchup in itself, Virginia, I don't really know what else needs to be said. I think this team's going to be great this year. They do lose Diakite, who was one of their best defenders last season. But at the end of the day, Virginia, backline defense, they're going to slow the pace of play to a crawl. You know that they're going to shoot the ball with 5 seconds on the shot clock, give up shots with 3 seconds on the shot clock, and it's going to be a really, really painful game to watch, which is why I'm not watching it, but I'm betting it on the under. Towson, the issue that you have is, in general, Towson, of course, is going to have inferior athletes to Virginia. That's the way it is. The reason why Virginia is going to be in the top 5, top 10, why they're favored in the ACC. But Towson also has to replace 4 starters from last year. So they have a lot of new faces. This team is not very good, or if it is, it's going to take some time to transition. And I don't think that facing a Virginia defense in your first game with pretty much brand new starters across the board is a recipe for success. There's 40 minutes of gameplay. Towson might score 45 points. It's what Virginia does. So I think Virginia should win probably by 25, probably something along the lines of 70 to 45. I'm going to take the under because I really think Towson's not going to break 50.
Okay. All right, very good. That's a solid play. A little mainstream, I would say. But
taking a Virginia under, nobody's ever thought of that one before.
That's what I'm saying. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine.
Towson has too many new faces. It's just I don't know how they're going to score.
Yeah. Very good. All right, Scott. I'm going to lay one of those big numbers, and I don't generally like to do that. In fact, if you see my play of the day, I actually took a team catching a big number. I was tempted by Mississippi Valley State plus 37 against Arkansas and Mike Anderson's 40 minutes of heck. But they are capable. Mississippi Valley State is capable of losing. They lost last year to Utah. I want to say by, I think, 94 points.
It was either 92 or 94. I know 2 people on Utah or 3 at triple doubles. I don't remember if it was 2 or 3, but it was something hideous.
But they're a fun team to watch because they don't play a lot of defense. They play defense like they're waiting to take their next shot on offense.
You ever play a video game where you hand your 3-year-old cousin the controller? That's what the defense looks like if you're playing against them in 2K. That's what
it really does. However, I'm going to lay the wood here with this St. Louis Billikens team, Scott. One of the things I look for early in the season, especially in a season of uncertainty like this with the weird crowd things and tournaments going on, I look for experience. I look for returning starters. And this is a St. Louis team that was actually starting to really put it together at the end of the season last year. And they returned all 5 starters to the fold. I like this team very much. I think Travis Ford, I've been watching him since he played for Mizzou, and he's had a fair amount of success everywhere that he went. In fact, he transferred from Mizzou to Kentucky, so that worked out okay for him. I like Travis Ford. I like what he's doing with his Billikens team, playing an SIU-Edwardsville team that was bad last year and has to replace 3 starters out of their front 5. Not much like here about SIU-Edwardsville, except the city. If you've ever been to Edwardsville, very nice place. But I like St. Louis. I like the Billikens here to cover the 27, as long as they don't have to do it at the free throw line.
I was going to say that was my one question. So, are you rooting for no free throws?
Oh, they're terrible. They're absolutely dreadful. They've got 2 guys that are their main guys for the Billikens, and
they're shooting below 40, give or take.
Oh yeah, well, one of them shooting 48, the other one shooting 32.9% from the free throw line. Now, Scott, it's not very often I look at a main sport and say, well, you know what, I could probably do that. But if you gave me a month to do nothing but shoot free throws, I honestly think I could step up to the free throw line and make a third of my shots.
I played a decent amount of basketball in camp. I can't say I went to the line that much. I'm pretty sure I'm 80% in my career.
Okay.
So I can hit a free throw every now and then.
Yeah.
But, I can't really argue with that. I think the A-10 is going to be a very fascinating conference this year because it's going to be a massive power vacuum because Dayton's dream team is now kind of half disbanded. They got some people back, but Topin's not there, of course. So that conference should be very entertaining, in my opinion. That's going to be one of the sleeper conferences where people are going to be looking at them and saying, the A-10, they got some decent teams over there, some potential sleepers in the tournament.
Yeah, the Billikens are going to be a tough out in the NCAA tournament. I promise you that, and I think they're going to be a tough out today. I think they roll early and often against us.
Them, Richmond, St. Bonaventure. They got a Dayton as well. They got a lot of teams in there that are actually pretty good.
Yeah. Even UMass is hopefully getting a little bit better.
I'm never sold on UMass. Maybe Duquesne, but I'm not going with UMass. UMass is awful.
That's what I'm saying. But they actually started playing decent basketball last year at the end of the season there for UMass.
For their standards, yeah. It was better than the football team.
Ooh.
Not that much.
Don't get me started. All right. So there you go. Any thoughts on that game, Scott? You like the St. Louis team?
Yeah. This team's very good. Anytime you bring back 3 starters, let alone 5, you feel pretty good about your chances there. Now, SIU, you don't really need to say much about them. They're pretty bad. I feel like you kind of covered all the bases there. The only question is, can the garbage time players shoot free throws? And we're going to find out.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. And, I tend to think, and I could be wrong on this theory, but I tend to think there's going to be less garbage time because these guys need reps. Mm-hmm. And they haven't had a ton of practices with COVID, with the restrictions. So I think this is going to be a lot like a practice for these guys. So where you normally might see your starters in a game like this go 25 minutes, I think they're going to be in the 30s. I think the starters are going to play more minutes than they normally would in a lot
I think maybe over the first 3-4 games. I don't know about the opener because you don't want to overdo it with players and get them injured in the first game of the season. I could see them potentially pushing it. You said 25. Give or take, I think they could push it to maybe 27, 28, but I don't expect to see many 30s.
You don't think they get into the 30s?
I think they'll save 30s for the weekend.
Okay. Yeah,
I think you'll agree. You don't want to just throw them out there for 30. You might want to pace them a little bit to start the season, especially since all these teams really care about right now, for the most part, is conference play anyway.
Well, because the non-con schedule. I mean, there's two ways to look at that because you're playing a lot less non-con games.
Yeah. I don't know how the committee is going to determine who's going to be getting into the bracket or not, but that's a separate story. So
they got their work cut out for them, indeed. I'm excited, bud. We got college basketball all day long. We got some good games here this evening, and I think you and I have put forth some good picks, some interesting things to take a look at.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I know that I already talked about the future stuff I've been looking into, so that should be ready either tonight or potentially even a few hours, so we'll see. But I will be making another video on there, a bonus video. And other than that, yeah, it's a pretty solid weekend sports. You got college basketball, you got Thanksgiving tomorrow, then you got the weekend wrap around to college football. Really a good time.
It's a good time. Good time, man. And want to wish everybody out there a happy Turkey Day Eve. Scott and I will be back tomorrow to take a look at the KU game. If nothing else, we're going to see what else college basketball games are actually on the board.
Yeah, some of the schedule stuff's not available because some of them are playing in tournaments, so we're going to have to wait for a second.
We'll be back cooked up for Thanksgiving. Of course, if you're looking for our NFL Thanksgiving show, we already did it. So just go back a couple videos, and you'll find Scott and I's take on each and every game in the NFL on Thanksgiving Day. So, Scott, big Thanksgiving plans for you? I know you guys are you normally travel for the holidays. You're not going to do that this year. You're going to have just traditional food over there at your mom's house.
Yes. Well, I usually go to Florida to have the Thanksgiving meal with my grandparents. Unfortunately, of course, COVID's kind of in the way for that because I can't go to Florida. Also, the fact that my grandfather's in the hospital, but I can't see him because of COVID. So, yeah, pretty unfortunate, but, it's the world we live in. So I'll be here watching college basketball, watching football, and probably doing a video with you. So
what's your top 3 Thanksgiving foods, Scott?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, turkey's a good place to start.
Okay. You're a white or dark meat guy?
I'm a white meat guy.
Okay.
But if somebody offers me dark meat, I'm not going to be rude and say no. So
I hear you.
That way.
I hear you.
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Gotta go mashed potatoes. And
Okay.
I'm a huge stuffing guy.
Yeah. Very good. Now,
that's my 3. Any order, put it any way you want. Of course, mashed potatoes have to come with gravy.
Have to come with gravy.
So, that's just non-negotiable. But those are my 3. I know you're a big pumpkin pie guy.
Big pumpkin pie guy. Yeah, I love the pumpkin pie. My son's actually making a pecan pie today from scratch.
Okay. Hopefully that works out. I know I've never been a big fan of the cranberry stuff, but I know some people are.
Yeah, out of the can. I don't like the fresh cranberries. I don't like the cranberry salad. I like out of the can. The more rib marks on it, the better.
So I picked the basic choice. I got the turkey, I got the mashed potatoes with the gravy, and I got the stuffing. What about you?
I'm a big turkey guy. Personally, I think. By the way, I think gravy pro tip should be on the mashed potatoes, the turkey, and the dressing. Just saying. I'm a big turkey guy. I like white meat. I don't like messing with the bones, like in the turkey legs and stuff. That's just too much hassle for me. I like a good moist white meat. Very, very tasty. I do like dressing, their stuffing, and my wife makes these corn rolls, like kind of a cornbread hybrid roll things. Fantastic. So those are my top 3 picks. So I'm ready. I'm ready for Thanksgiving, buddy. I really am. It's going to be kind of weird. I hope everybody stays safe. If you are traveling, good luck. I saw some pictures of the airports yesterday, and it looked like just super spreader events. So, but that's the bad side. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about things that are good. That is Thanksgiving. That is Thanksgiving food. That is football. That is basketball. We got it all going. So, good luck to everybody. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. Good things on the horizon. Let's all stay around so we can figure out what they are. All right. And if you want to check out winnersandwhiners.com, this is the time to do it, man. These preseason tournaments where you've got, a lot of times good teams playing teams that maybe you don't know much about. Maybe you don't know much about SIU-Edwardsville and you want to find out, check out winnersandwhiners.com. There is no other resource like it. It is without question the number 1 site on the internet for predictive sports analysis, and they earn their money in college basketball. It is an amazing thing what these writers are able to do, especially in the tournament schedules where they're able to just turn those over and get the articles out. So make sure you check out Winners and Whiners. A lot of handicappers working hard over there for you. All right. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Whiners, wishing you a happy Turkey Day Eve. And hope you guys end up making some money today. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back of the window. You guys take care. Have a great one. And we will see you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.